On today's DNVR Broncos show, we are fixing the Broncos run game. How can the Broncos fix it and get it back on track as early as Thursday? Plus, we're diving into Chargers film. We got our guy Baldy joining us to break it all down, and it starts now. Let's start off the DNVR Broncos podcast with some great news after I welcome you in to the Toyota Lounge, driven by your local Front Range Toyota stores. And of course, we're presented by Bet365. We got Super Bowl 50 champ Todd Davis, Henry Chisholm, you here, and yours truly, Zach Stevens, rocking and rolling with you today. And fellas, some great news. Yesterday, we talked about how there was good news with Pat Surtain. And yesterday, later after the show, we found out that it's actually great news with Pat Surtain. He is feeling much better to the extent where the Broncos didn't practice yesterday, but they had an estimated practice report that they have to put out for league guidelines. Pat Surtain not only would have practiced, in air quotes, he would have been a full participant in practice, which just makes me think he is 100% playing on Thursday night, because you're not a full participant in practice and then miss the game. So I think this is just great news to start off the Tuesday.
So he was a full participant in the non-practice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Okay,
I bet.
but
that's a win.
Okay, because I knew that, you or Henry or you here or the Toyota chat was going to question this. The Broncos, it wasn't all good news on the estimated injury report. It's not like they put everything was fine and dandy for everyone on the injury report, because there were actually a decent amount of guys that were just straight DNPs, like John Franklin Myers, DJ Jones, Jaleel, and Riley Moss all did not practice according to the estimated injury report. Does that make you feel better about Pat?
Yes.
Okay, good.
That makes me feel a little better.
Better about Pat, but maybe worse about the team, because those are five guys.
Yeah, because if you can't practice, then we're not even practicing. That's pretty scary.
Yeah,
it's not even practicing on air; it's practicing in your mind.
You can't even get mental reps
from home.
Yeah, no, this is too tough.
Yeah, usually what you want to see is because the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday practices, you want the DNP limited full, and then almost every time they'll play.
Yeah,
but then this week it'd just be Monday, Tuesday. Because Wednesday's the off day, game Thursday. So really you'd want limited then full.
No, Wednesday they do technically.
But it's the same as a Saturday, which we don't get a report for,
We will get a report for Wednesday.
But just timing-wise, the Friday practice when you want to see full is 2 days before the game. Monday, Tuesday
sure.
is the... So you would have wanted to see limited yesterday to feel good about full today, and then you're good to go. But we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. And today is the Broncos' only practice of the week, and it's not even a practice; it's a walkthrough. So make sure to keep following us on social media for updates, and of course, we'll update you guys on the show tomorrow. But one of the guys that's on there that did not practice is Jaleel McLaughlin. And guys, let's talk about this Broncos run game right now, because it is struggling. They are in a rut and can't seem to get out of it. Let's start with how much of a concern is this for you guys right now, Henry?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, it's massive. It's the biggest concern with the team. I think throughout the season, the reason I felt like the Broncos could go on a run during the playoffs is because of the defense, and because the defensive running game kind of wins football games in the playoffs. The fact that you don't have any running game, it just means that you aren't really going to have much of a chance. And you keep waiting for it to get better, but it hasn't gotten better. So, yeah, I mean, it's a massive concern. And honestly, at this point, it's tough to imagine that they'll be able to fix it, because you're just, if you could fix it easily, why didn't you just do it a month or two ago,
So you said massive concern.
Yeah.
Todd, do you agree with that?
Yeah, it's a big concern. I mean, they haven't been able to put together a good running game. We haven't had a 100-yard rusher again this year. So, and I wouldn't say that the Chargers are a team that you can just go in there and correct the running game against like an easy team to play that you feel like you can get in your groove running the ball. So, yeah, I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you guys. We disagreed on it on our big conversation yesterday. I'm fully right there with you. Massive concern, as Henry said, the biggest concern on the team right now. And it's not like the Broncos really ever had a dominant rushing attack, but they had a good enough rushing attack in the first 2 months of the season. They averaged 121 rushing yards per game in the first 9 weeks. And since in the past 5 games, they're averaging 84 rushing yards per game. That is terrible. We're not talking about a 1 game, 2 game stretch. We're talking a 5 game stretch over a month long that this has been a big concern. And so we all agree that this is a massive problem, especially when you get in the playoffs and you're playing Baltimore in Baltimore or Buffalo in Buffalo or Kansas City in Kansas City, and the weather could be awful, and you have to rely on the run game there, especially as good as Bo has played this year, in my opinion. You're going to need to help your rookie quarterback out when you enter the playoffs, and so that's the one piece that you're able to lean on is the running game, and the Broncos can't do that right now. So how do they fix it, Todd? What's the number one thing that they can do to try to fix this?
Going to the off season really strong. Start to look at people in the draft. I don't think it's being fixed this season. Like,
wow,
no,
there's no chance of it. I think it is what it is, and we just have to do our best. Put our best foot forward. Fingers crossed. Lucky rabbit's foot. Whatever you need to do. But I think it is what it is.
So it's like just toss Bo into the playoffs, close your eyes, and hope he comes out the other side.
At least the running game, maybe not Bo, but the running game, just throw it to the Wolves and we'll see what happens.
But if you don't have a running game, you're throwing Bo to the Wolves.
Well, I guess not really because, he's been playing pretty well outside of the last game. But he's been playing pretty well.
It just dropped that last part.
Even without the running game. So I think he'll do all right in the playoffs.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the big thing, to me, the problem is with the blocking. Like, there's just, it seems like every play something's going wrong. Like, one play it's Vele, one play it's Troutman, one play it's like Matt Parrott had a missed block where he just comes in as like the extra guy. And that's, it feels like it's so rarely the offensive line that's making mistakes. It's just all these other people they try to include as blockers. And I just don't know how you get around it. I guess the one way you get around it is you just try to stop the under center running game. Like maybe you just go back to running out of shotgun because it seems like anytime they line up under center, there's penetration. They're just not able, running back's not able to get going. You can't just abandon it. Like 3rd and 2s, you still need it. But 1st and 10, if they line up under center, I think it's a massive mistake at this point.
Yeah, because how often does Bo operate under center when he's throwing the ball?
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of a tell.
Yeah.
Man,
they have a little bit of play action, but it's not like they're better bread and butter.
I have a hard time believing that the Broncos are really struggling running the ball, and it's not on the offensive line at all. Like, if that's the case,
it's on them as well.
Then stop running to the outside as much, and then just focus between the tackles a lot more.
The thing is, all those numbers just change because all of a sudden, like there was one play. I can't remember if it was this game or the last game, but they have Kroll coming in to take out a linebacker at the 2nd level, and so they've tried to run up the middle, but it was the Colts game because it was EJ Speed who comes in and just makes the tackle. And it's because Kroll just didn't quite get to that spot in time. And so you love the idea of running up the middle, but then all of a sudden you still have other pieces that need to work. Otherwise, somebody's coming free off the edge or it's just not clicking. And Sean talked about it a little bit and said we need to think about like what runs we're calling when and having some like answers out of them because it does seem like a lot of them are just kind of doomed from the start numbers wise. So again, a big piece of that is just they're loading the box up because they're not. The strategy, even with Bo playing well, is make Bo beat us. And, they did, 4 games in a row, he did that. This game, a little bit uglier. But I think that's going to continue to be the strategy. They're in a tough spot.
So what's the fix that you would recommend?
There isn't one. I mean, I think you go to shotgun. I think you get back to running Bo more. I think that the read option has to be a big part of it. But I also think there's no reason to start running these read options again until the playoffs because you don't need Bo just taking hits for 3 weeks when you feel like you're in good position. But I do think that when you get to week 1 of the playoffs, that's kind of where things need to go. Is it shotgun? That run you showed yesterday, the Colts had with the puller out in front, more of that sort of thing. There was one of those the Broncos ran against the Raiders that I was just going back and looking at where Bo just made the wrong read. and he gives it to Javonte, who then there's a hole that opens up, and he makes the wrong read and goes the wrong way. It's like things just aren't clicking.
Yeah, I think there's kind of three things that I think the Broncos should try, and one of them is what you said, Henry, is having Bo run more. In these past 5 games where the Broncos have really struggled to run the ball on the ground, only averaging 84 yards per game, Bo has only ran for 6 yards per game. Now, I didn't hate it because I like the rookie quarterback not getting hit as much, and I like trying to establish a run game in a unique way, but now you can't. And this offseason, Todd, I agree. Running back might be priority number 1 for the Broncos, but you're not at the offseason yet, so you got to do things that help this running game right now. And in the first 9 games, when the Broncos were averaging 121 rushing yards per game, Bo was averaging 33 rushing yards. He had multiple games over 50 rushing yards, and so that is a big difference. That's almost 30 extra yards right there and gets you from the 85 to the 120 that they were at, and I think that's what they need to do. And now, maybe, Henry, you're right. You don't force it against the Chargers this week, force it against the Bengals. If you have to win against the Chiefs in Week 18, hopefully that's not the case. Then you can force it then. But that is something that they should get back to, is using Bo. I think there's 2 other ones that you might as well try. More Audric Estime. The Broncos didn't use Audric Estime until Jaleel got hurt in this past game. His first run, he comes in, runs for 6 yards. Now, the rest of the game, it wasn't necessarily, it wasn't that good for Audric, but, I mean, Javonte and Jaleel have not been working recently. Try Estime. Give him a shot at that. And then there's one other guy that's kind of sitting in the benches waiting for the Broncos to activate him off IR, and that is Tyler Badie. He's averaging almost 8 yards per carry this year on very limited reps. I get it, but Tyler Badie, he is eligible to come off the IR whenever they want. And he is, I've seen him on the side field practicing. He looks like he's ready to go. At some point, like, if these running backs aren't getting done, might as well try Badie, because it can't really be worse, right?
It could be worse if he goes out there and gets murdered again. I thought
Fumbles?
the kid was about to, it was, we were all calling for more Badie, and then, you know, that game he didn't do so well. I don't know. I think Estime definitely has to play more. I may side with No Shot a little bit. Maybe there's a problem with his ability to understand all the plays, to be able to be out there on the field, because that's the only thing I feel like is holding him back right now. But ultimately, I don't know. I think the Chargers are not a team to try it on. I think the Bengals, you have to run the ball. Like, we're going into this game, we'll put up points. We know we can score on this defense, but we're going to put together a good running game plan so that we have something going into the playoffs.
I totally agree with you, Todd, and there might actually be good news or more encouraging news about this Chargers run defense, and let's hit that after I give a shout out to our friends over at Live Well, because if you want to live well, you got to check out our friends over at Live Well, where they're a cannabis store that strive to make cannabis accessible to all, because they believe everyone deserves to live well. They have 25 convenient Colorado location dispensaries with premium selection and expert service that awaits you. And another awesome thing, if you go to livewell.com, you can reserve your products online for a quick in-store pickup, or you can simply stop by one of their 25 convenient Colorado locations and pick up what you need and ask all the questions you need about your cannabis purchase. And if you use the code DNVR25, you're going to get 25% off one regular priced item. And if you order online, go into the store and mention that code when you get there, and you're going to get that 25% off over at LiveWell when you pick up your order. So make sure to check them out, livewell.com, and use that code DNVR25 in store to get 25% off one regular price item. Restrictions apply.
Also, shout out to Verizon. They make a lot of what we do possible, including having Baldy on. I actually grew up in a Verizon family because AT&T and those others, they weren't in Montana, or at least not up in like the north half. So everybody had Verizon. And so growing up, I thought, just Verizon's just what people have. There is nothing else. Because of that, I am... the other really nice thing about Verizon is there's actually a little Verizon store pretty close to where I live. And so I go in there whenever I need like a new charging cord or anything. And they just always have all the stuff you want. So also shout out to Verizon stores, not just their cell phone service, but their cell phone service is good. And if you want to sign up, you can actually take advantage of an awesome promotion because if you switch now, you can get a $200 gift card.
200.
Also, they're giving away tickets to a Broncos game, so make sure you're also on the lookout for that. $200 Verizon e-gift card sent within 8 weeks, requires device payment purchase, minimum retail price of $799.99, and poured in with new smartphone line on postpaid Unlimited Plus or Unlimited Ultimate plan required. Well, there we go.
Boom, and shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. So this Chargers defense is the best in the NFL in terms of points per game, just giving up 17 points per game. But their run defense is maybe fallen off as of recent. They started incredibly hot. The first month of the season, they were by far the best run defense in the NFL. But their last 4 games, get this, guys, they've given up 212 yards on the ground in one game, 116 in another, 96 in another, and 223 yards on the ground this past week. They're giving up 4.7 yards per carry on the season, which is just outside the bottom 5 in the NFL. So it's not like the run defense has completely fallen off because in the past 4 games, they've given up 116 and 96. That's fine. That's respectable.
Yep.
But 200-yard games, like, maybe the Broncos can get something going, and if they don't, maybe it's even more concerning.
What do we say about the Colts?
Yep.
Colts were giving up 4.6 yards a carry.
Yep.
That's what Jaleel was averaging going into this game. We're like, oh, those numbers match up. Let's just give him a rock. He'll get about 5 yards a carry, and we'll keep the ball going, moving downfield. Didn't happen.
I'm trying to be hopeful.
Yeah, I know.
He had 7 carries for 21 yards. 3 yards per carry, not impressive.
Great math.
Best of any Bronco, though.
Jeez.
There was no Bronco better. Even Bo.
Outside of Bo, right?
No, Bo had a 16-yard run, but still finished under 3 yards per carry.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of that's the QB sneaks. But yeah, I honestly don't think it's a running back problem. Like,
Think it's scheme.
it's scheme, and it's, again, like you're not getting push when you're running the duo. Guys aren't getting to the right spots, especially those perimeter players. And then I do think that if you had like one of those like superhero running backs, like if you had Saquon, for example, he'll make a guy miss in the backfield and go make a play. But outside of like those top 5 or 6 guys, there's no running back who's going to come to Denver and just all of a sudden it's like, yep, he's at 5 yards per carry,
Yeah.
even 4.5 yards per carry. It's just too systemic, and that's why I do think it's worth going out there and trying to find one. Like Aaron Jones is going to be the top back on the market. He's just carrying the Vikings, who've only lost twice this season. If you can go get him, all of a sudden he can make some of those plays and kind of single-handedly fix some things himself. Or like if somehow Ashton Genty falls in your lap, like, if you want to throw Estime in there, he might give you 4 yards per carry instead of 3.5, and I'm all for it. But I don't think that it's just a lot deeper than the running backs.
Man, I think it's more on the running backs and the players than the scheme right now.
I don't know. I don't know if I've seen any time this year where the running backs have been able to get to the second level without being touched.
Yeah.
Like usually they have at least one D lineman grabbing at them. And if they get through that, then the linebacker's right there to make the tackle. It's very rare that you see them one-on-one with the linebacker at 5 yards or one-on-one with a safety at 7 yards. We're not getting those type of plays.
So wouldn't that be on the offensive line then? Because I have a very hard time believing that through it's been 15 weeks, 15 games of the season, that Sean Payton has all of a sudden forgot how to draw up schemes for a running game. Because this isn't a small sample size. So 15 weeks, almost the entire season right now.
Yeah.
And remember, yes, he did have Drew Brees. He also had Alvin Kamara. He also had Mark Ingram. He's had great running games in the past that have really complemented Drew Brees. I have a hard time believing that it's the scheme and Sean's just forgot how to draw up running games.
Well, I don't think it's just has to be him drawing up the plays. I think it just be like a multitude of things all culminating at the same time. Like, 1, they're loading the box to make Bo beat us. 2, we're not getting a great push with our O-line, moving guys downfield. 3, maybe running backs aren't setting up the blocks for our O-linemen as best as they could. So I think all those things coming together makes the scheme not be the best for this team right now.
Yeah. Like, the running backs aren't playing well. And the offensive line, like, the big thing is just the push when it comes to the line. Because they try those duo runs, but they just can't get up and wipe out those linebackers. And so there's nothing.
The offensive line.
But it's
as well.
it's everything. Like, it's everything, yeah. It's not just one thing or the other. And so that's where you'd like to see them better, but they're not really missing blocks very often. It's just, again, certain runs you'd like to see him be able to get more push downfield, and it's just not a line that's really built to push. You know, Powers, you think of him like he's strong, he holds his ground, doesn't let anybody, he'll get a guy, but he isn't like pushing. Again, like Quinn, it's the athleticism more than just like the pure strength. And it's not like they're terrible, but you would like more. It just,
man,
they aren't getting blocks at the second level.
I do think of this offensive line as one that should be absolutely dominant in
Again,
the
Mike
running game.
McGlinchey isn't like a pusher. Like, he does a lot of things well.
Quinn
but he's just
Meinert's, Ben Powers, they are. And
I
Garrett
don't
Bowles
think
is
so.
too.
That's not what their strength is, though.
I think they work well with double teams. Both the guards work really well with double teams, and I don't know how well our current center is at working double teams.
Yeah.
And I feel like anybody can be beat one-on-one. And I think that's what's happening sometimes is you see it all the time. It takes one guy to miss his block. It doesn't take all five to be wrong. Like, four out of the five can have a great block. You said Troutman, that's, 5 out of 6 could have had their guy. Troutman missed the block. Now the play's over. So it's very, very easy for a run play to be stuffed in the backfield.
But that's
Or
just,
the
I
running
mean,
back
that's
make-
every
yeah.
team, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the Broncos just aren't clicking. Like, the running back can make the wrong read. Like, there's so many different things that can go wrong, and just about every time something does. Like, I went back and just watched the light boxes. I was like, Javonte versus a light box the last 4 games. You would think, like, that's where things are going well. But the first 2 plays, it's Vele misses a block on the edge, and all of a sudden it's a 4-yard loss. Second play, I think it's Adkins misses a block on the edge, and all of a sudden it's a 2-yard loss. Like, well, this is of like the 8 chances, maybe 7 chances that Javonte's had in the past 4 games against light boxes where you think it go well. It's like, nope, the first 2 were just doomed from the start.
And you think about like the great running backs in this league, like Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry. If you watch them make moves, it's on safeties, it's on corners. Like, you know what I'm saying? They can make a linebacker miss, but they're definitely getting to the second level, making a move, and then, going for 70 yards.
And then jumping over them backwards is what they're doing.
It's a safety, though.
Yeah. And speaking of incredible plays, we've got our guy, Brian Baldinger, joining us now, brought to you by Verizon. This is powered by Verizon, our insider access. Switch to their award-winning 5G network and get a $200 gift card. Let's bring him on, the man, the myth, the legend, Brian Baldinger. Baldy, what's going on? Welcome back from L.A.
Thank you, Zach. Good to be with you guys, man. Big game this weekend for you guys. Just got a chance to kind of do a little scouting for you and what you have in store for you as you fight for that playoff spot.
Yeah, and Baldy, you just got to see the Chargers in person. And before we get to that game, we were just having the conversation about, one, how concerning the Broncos' rushing attack has been over the past month or so. They're only averaging just over 80 yards per game on the ground the past 5 weeks. And then 2, how do you fix it going into the playoffs when that's where teams really thrive, is on the running game? So I want your expertise. How do the Broncos fix this thing?
Well, they're trying. They're trying to do it. I mean, they're trying different backs. They're starting Jaleel. They're just not getting much movement right there. Guys are kind of sitting on him a little bit, and it has been tough sledding for them. But you got to keep trying to find different runs, formations, anything you can right now. They're not getting much out of the tight ends in the blocking game. That never helps when you're trying to get to the edges. They're popping one here or there. Jaleel seems to be the guy that can do that more than Javonte, but it's been tough, and it's not like Sean Payton isn't trying to do it. He's trying to balance things up. They just haven't been very good at it.
It's been kind of crazy to watch too, because you just think that this group would be so much better, but I think the running backs are making mistakes with the reads. They're not making guys miss when others make mistakes. The offensive line not getting as much push as you would like. Like you said, the tight ends, even the receivers, they're not necessarily executing on their blocks. The runs are being called don't seem like they're fitting up against the defense. It really seems like it's just kind of a perfect storm where everything is going wrong and they just can't get anything going.
Well, the Colts defense, I mean, first of all, you've got to get their nickel blocked, and that's a hard thing to do because the receivers have to kind of do that. They're a big part. But this Zaire Franklin, I mean, there's a reason why, he's at the top of the leaderboard in tackles. He's just a difficult guy. Like, he reads schemes really, really fast. EJ Speed as well. They got a problem there with DeForest Buckner. He's just so big in the 3 technique. He just, he takes on 2 blockers really good, and then he gets skinny and splits them. They're just I mean, they're a very good defense. They played great. They played great defense. They were trying to get, keep them in the contention for a playoff spot. They gave them their best shot. I have a lot of respect for that group. But Zaire Franklin, if you can't get him blocked, he's going to make every tackle. And that's what it looked like on Sunday.
Baldy, without the run game working really well, the Broncos have really been relying on Bo Nix to provide that offensive spark. And I felt like this week he kind of had a uncharacteristic game, throwing 3 interceptions. Do you feel like for a young quarterback that was kind of finding his groove, that a late bye in the season could have like messed up his momentum and the way he was playing?
I don't know if it's a late bye. I mean, he did not play well. He threw the ball into coverage. One was off his beat. He just kind of threw it up there and just overshot the receiver, and it just came into the weight and arms of the defensive back there. I thought all 3 interceptions were bad and were on him. I didn't think he was fooled. I don't think it was, great defensive. I thought he was just 3 poor passes into coverage. And that's something we hadn't seen from him in a long time. So maybe it was just a one-game thing. You hope it's just a one-game thing that, it's not going to be one of these rookie walls or something like that people will say to kind of defend, poor play. But we have not seen him make those type of throws in a long time. And to have them bunched up like they did in a short period of time, I hope that's just unusual for him. And he get back to playing smarter, better football.
Baldy, the good thing is for Bo, he gets to move on quick to a short week this week, playing the Chargers, and there's literally no one better to talk about the Chargers than you, because you just got off a plane being in LA watching the Chargers really have a really disappointing game from their perspective. So when it comes to the Broncos and game plan and looking at the Chargers, what's the key for the Broncos to get the win against the Chargers on Thursday Night Football, something they weren't able to do when they played them earlier this season?
Well, two things. I mean, one, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, nobody's improved in the run game more than the Bucs. Coming into the season, they were dead last in the NFL rushing 2 straight years in a row. I think the addition of Liam Cohen in some scheme, the addition of Bucky Irving in the backfield, the addition of Graham Barton at center, they ran the ball down their throats. And Bucky Irving at one point had 10 carries for 101 yards. They ran the ball really, really well. That helped Baker a great deal. And then, secondly, they really struggle to get explosive plays in the passing game. They got a couple to Ladd McConkey to start the game. They couldn't get anything else after that. They really don't have an explosive element. And then, to play into the Broncos' hands, they're not a good running football team without J.K. Dobbins. Yeah. And the Bucs, no matter what type of runs they tried, whether it was outside sweeps, inside dives, they're not very good in the interior 3 offensive linemen, whether it's Bozeman, whether it's Zion, whether it's Trey Pipkin seems to be a weakness. The 2 tackles are pretty good. But those 3 areas are a big concern if I'm the Chargers right now.
When you look at Ladd McConkey, he isn't necessarily the type of guy who Pat Surtain would typically line up against, just because more of a shiftier little slot guy, especially when you have somebody like Quentin Johnston out there. What do you think the Broncos should do in terms of their coverage plan going up against these Chargers receivers?
That's a good question. It really is, because I think Quentin, he's caught, 7 or 8 touchdowns now. He's been productive like that. He seems like last year I thought he had hands like feet and he dropped a lot of balls. He doesn't seem to be dropping as many this year. But I feel like the offense goes through Ladd. And if I was Patrick Surtain, like this guy's a really good router. He might be almost too quick for Patrick, although I think his length can really help him. And I don't know what his condition is after the injury there at the end of the game. But I would think you'd want Patrick on Ladd McConkey, and they move him around a lot. He's in the slot. He's out wide. They really run a lot of plays for him. He's going to get more targets than Quentin. I think you better serve putting Surtain, providing he's fully healthy, to put him on McConkey.
Baldy, these AFC West games are always close. They're always competitive, and they're always tough. Unfortunately, it feels like the Broncos have a few injuries kind of creeping up on them at this point. Maybe DJ Jones, JFM, Riley Moss. Is this a game that the Broncos can still win without, some of their key players on defense?
I think so. I mean, DJ's a really good player. He played a great game last week. I don't know if Malcolm Roach, can he go on the nose and play it like DJ? I'm not sure. They'll be a little shorthanded, but, I mean, everybody is at this point. I think they've got some depth in there right now. John Franklin Myers can play a variety of positions. So I feel like with Zach Allen, John Franklin Myers, Malcolm, I think they have enough there that they can still man the interior right there and shut down the Chargers' run game, which isn't very good right now.
Baldy, final one for you. The Broncos' magic number to make the playoffs right now is 1. They need one more win in these final 3 games to clinch their first playoff berth since 2015 when they won Super Bowl 50. So my question to you is, when does it happen? Is it this week against the Chargers, next week against the Bengals, or the final week against the Chiefs? Or, of course, there's the option that they just don't make it.
I feel good about just watching the Chargers last week. I mean, you're going to read all kinds of stats that they were the number 1 ranked defense in football. They didn't play like it. I know that. I feel like they can go to SoFi and win this week and kind of take the pressure off. If they go to SoFi and win this week and clinch a playoff spot, I mean, you have to talk about Sean Payton as coach of the year. With the limited resources they have, the salary cap hits they took, the number of injuries they've had, like all those things, a rookie quarterback. I mean, if Sean Payton gets him into the playoffs and beats Jim Harbaugh in his backyard this week, there's some great coaching performances this year, but you've got to look at Sean Payton as a real contender for that position.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there, Baldy. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm not sure if we'll talk to you before the holidays next week or after, but happy holidays, and we really appreciate you being on with us all year.
Appreciate it, guys. Yep, happy holidays to everybody now. Go Broncos.
Boom, there we go. And let's hope we're talking about Broncos clinching a playoff spot next time we talk to Baldy there. And let's talk about some of the things Baldy said and continue to break down the Chargers and the Broncos' path to victory this week after I give a shout out to our friends over at Circle K, where if you want snacks, you want gas, you want really anything, they've got it over at Circle K, including deals that you're going to get with their Inner Circle app, including 25 cents off per gallon on your next 5 fill-ups. That's a great one to start with. Plus, they've got deals every single day on food, drinks, and so much more. And so what you do is download the Inner Circle K app by either scanning the QR code on our screen or going to the App Store. It's a free membership. It's easy to download. Enter your email and phone number, and you're fully enrolled. And then once you're at Circle K, all you need is your phone number to get all of these deals, whether you're at the pump or inside getting some snacks. So you can find the app under Inner Circle and offers to see what they've got going on every single day. So download the Inner Circle app or Inner Circle app now over at Circle K and sign up for these exclusive offers. New offers, purchase clubs, and sweepstakes are uploaded weekly.
And shout out to our friends over at Game Time, where you can use code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase. Game Time is the best app for getting tickets to games, shows, events. If you want to go see the Suns versus the Nuggets, if you want to go see the Broncos versus the Chargers, if you want to go see CU play and hopefully win this game, check out our friends over at Game Time. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase. Remember, terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DNVR for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time. And shout out to our presenting
guys.
sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. And I love that Baldy's kind of exposed the Chargers here. Said, yes, on paper, their 17 points per game is the best in the NFL. But this past week against a Bucs team that is really hit or miss, boy, were the Chargers the ones that were really missing this week, because they weren't able to stop them on the ground, through the air. And this Chargers team, guys, this defense has given up 30 and 40 points in 2 of their past 4 games. So they're a little vulnerable right now. And I think that gives the Broncos a lot of hope in this game, because when the Broncos played the Chargers the first time in week 7, I think, this Chargers defense was number 1 in the NFL, and there weren't any of these weaknesses that we could point to. They're still number 1 in the NFL in terms of points per game, but now they're starting to become these weaknesses that you can point to, specifically on their defense. And we'll talk about their offense in a minute, but on their defense, there's weaknesses.
Yeah, I think if you have enough weapons going into the game against the Chargers, you're able to utilize them and make things happen. It's just a matter of if our weapons come to play. You know, we have to be able to get Courtland Sutton one-on-one. I think we need a big game from Vele, and I think we need to put together some type of running game to be successful. I think the Chargers are struggling at times, but if you make the Broncos one-dimensional, I think they'll be able to be a solid defense again, and I don't want that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, they've gotten a little bit banged up. They don't have Asante Samuel Jr. anymore. He's been out for like a month. Like Denzel Perryman, who isn't like, he's not an all-pro linebacker or anything, but having a guy like that versus having, like, I'm not sure if it's going to be like Troy Dye or Nick Neiman.
Hey,
like,
what's wrong with Troy Dye? Shout out
he
TD.
was,
You know what I'm saying?
he was a sick draft prospect and has done some like cool things. But again, just like different tiers.
Wait, is he your guy just because he's TD initials?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So anyone with TD, you're
No.
TD and Vikings.
No, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
He was a freak at Oregon too.
Yeah.
Because he's just like
Well,
so
I don't know
big.
what he did at Oregon, but he was a good player.
Okay. But yeah, because he was like a converted safety who went to linebacker.
Yeah.
And so like he was just covering everybody in that Oregon defense back, that was like 2019 or so.
Yep.
Killed the Buffs. Yeah, I mean they're missing some guys. Like they kind of just had Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa and like a couple of other decent players, and then just were able to fill everything in so they didn't have holes. But as soon as you start losing guys and those holes open up, it just doesn't look the same.
Yeah, and they have clearly struggled there. And they were the worst defense in the NFL last year, second worst. They were awful. And they really didn't add that many pieces this year to turn into the best. And now we're starting to see, okay, maybe there's somewhere in between there right now. And that's kind of where it's averaging out to. But there's definitely an opportunity, not just the Broncos to win this game, but the Broncos to blow the Chargers out, put 30 on them. As Todd, maybe you rein me back in a little bit from the Broncos being able to go so off because you need the weapons, and the Bucs clearly have those weapons. Broncos don't, but there is an opportunity there for the Broncos. And let's flip to the other side of the ball now, because I mentioned how the Chargers are giving up 17 points per game this season. In the past 3 games, the Chargers have scored 17 points, 17 points, and 17 points. So the Chargers' lucky number right now is 17, and I think that's great news for the Broncos because this defense should be able to hold them to even under that. And, man, if you're holding the team to 17 points or fewer, you should absolutely be able to win these games. And this Chargers defense, Baldy hit it right on the head. J.K. Dobbins, this offense ran through him and the ground. When they were having success, it's because Justin Herbert had to go out there and throw for 150 yards a game. I think by the time the Broncos played the Chargers in week 7, Justin Herbert was averaging like 170 passing yards per game. Now, he went out there and threw for like 223 against the Broncos, and that felt like a big game for him, which is comical for a $50 million quarterback for 220 yards to be a big game. But J.K. Dobbins is going to miss this game. He put on IR a couple of weeks ago, and their offense just has not been able to run the ball. And Jim Harbaugh does not want to put Justin Herbert in a situation where he has to drop back 50 times, so he's running the ball even when they can't run the ball. And so that's just going to be key this game is, man, don't let them establish a run game, and you should honestly be good. They should be putting up 17 points against you.
Stop the run and get a few turnovers. What I like about us is our turnovers usually come in bunches, and so we got a few last week, got a few the week before that. So I feel really confident about us being able to take the ball away from Justin Herbert. He was doing a great job all year of not throwing interceptions, taking care of the ball, but fortunately for us, that kind of ended last week through an interception. So I'm excited to see if the Broncos can get, 1 or 2 interceptions from him because we're playing lights out right now on defense as far as taking the ball away.
Okay, I was getting greedy earlier. You kind of put me in my place. Might have to put you in your place right now, Todd. Justin Herbert in the past 11 games.
No. We know he's had a long streak, but last game, what did he do?
Justin Herbert in the last 11 games has one interception.
And when
yes,
when
that
it
is
happened?
including this past game
Last
right
week,
now.
yeah.
Yes, but
He's on a roll.
To get,
in the last 1 week,
he's on a
He's 1 for
roll
1.
right now.
He's 1 for 1.
Okay. Hey, I would love it if they went out there. I'm just saying, like, Justin Herbert is still, even with that one interception, is on an incredible streak of not turning the ball over. You might have to get those turnovers by P.J. Locke coming up into the box and absolutely destroying a wide receiver after they catch a screen and popping the ball out just like he did this past week. Or Nick Bonito catching a backward pass from Justin Herbert, so it's actually a fumble and not a pick six.
So when the Chiefs were beating us all those years and then we beat them, is the streak over, or do we still need to talk about all those other games and then add this one too?
I think
the streak is over.
Yeah.
So now
Justin Herbert's streak is over, but still one. I'm just saying.
The week before
I'm
we
just saying.
played
I think you're
Broncos.
getting a little greedy right now. What is his streak? Well, he didn't throw a pick in the first game, so
Okay.
I don't know how far it goes back though. I think the Broncos are going to hold him to 17 points. I'm just saying maybe.
So you're saying no
maybe you're getting a little
interceptions?
greedy. You said 2
I'm just
interceptions.
saying
too.
I said 1 or 2.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just saying me and Hank with the interceptions, we were right last week. I think he cost everybody $4,000, but
Hey,
I
you
didn't
guys
want to bring it up.
You
I
guys
didn't
helped
talk
me
about
on
it.
that one.
Okay.
You did. That was a squad pick on our part.
Yes,
We're going to do
Well,
that
I think
again
good.
tomorrow.
I think we
Okay.
should.
What do you think, Henry?
About what?
You think Justin Herbert's just going to be throwing
Our
picks left and
conversation,
right?
Well,
not-
I
About
you guys hashed
what?
it out. I mean, I feel
on.
like we kind of went down a weird little rabbit hole and it kind of died out. But yeah, I mean, no, I think Justin Herbert could throw a pick. I mean, you stop the running game, you make him throw the ball.
Listen
All
to
of a
this guy.
sudden,
He
ball's in
could
the
throw
air.
a pick. Yes, of course he could throw a pick.
Yeah.
Are you
I'd say-
confident he's going to throw a pick?
I know. What? How many? What's in the last 11 games? He's thrown. I can't remember. 1 interception.
Does this guy not listen to our
Yeah,
conversation?
There's
we
one
just
interception,
went over
one
all this.
interception.
We like yelled at each other
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
it.
I know.
and-
You guys hash it out over there.
Oh my
I
god! People
feel
want
like I was
Todd to
needed.
tackle me right now, and you can't even listen.
No, I listen.
Oh.
What are you doing on that computer? We should have that.
He
You
was
know what
talking about
I'm saying?
freaky stuff. Maybe there's a
No, I'm not
reason.
looking at freaky stuff.
Okay. I mean, Todd, I'll give you a little bit of credit. In half the games Justin Herbert's played the Broncos, he's thrown at least 1 interception. So he's played the Broncos in 8 games, 4 games of 0 interceptions, 2 games of 1 interception, 2 games of 2 interceptions. So it's happened.
And so I think it's half what Justin Herbert is going to do and half what the Broncos are going to make him do. Like, we've done a great job of getting the ball from quarterbacks the last 2 weeks. I know that he's a good quarterback,
It's true.
but he can easily throw an interception. I think the Broncos defense can kind of make him throw an interception. I know he hasn't thrown one, in a lot of weeks, but he did throw one last week, and they happen so instantaneously.
Yeah. All
It's
it takes
one.
is one.
It's one forced ball to Lab McConkey. Passer Tan's on him. He tips it. All of a sudden, PJ comes down with a pick. Like, it happens like that.
Who has a better chance on Thursday to get a turnover? Pat Surtain or Nick Bonito?
Nick.
Nick?
Yeah, because it's like you would say Pat just for the obvious reason because he's in coverage, but
Yeah.
Nick keep getting these interceptions and fumbles, whatever you want to call them. Like, you can't even write it up.
Yep.
It's just happening.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna say Nick Bonito.
Yep.
I'll go Pat.
You'll go Pat?
Yep.
Man, I think Nick just probably will have more opportunities because he's rushing the passer. And it doesn't have to be a pick. It can be a strip sack there. So I'll go with Nick. But the incredible thing, Broncos have 2 of the 3 front runners for
crazy.
Defensive Player of the Year over at Bet365 right now. And TJ Watt, he was last week or 2 weeks ago, TJ Watt was like minus 500 to win the award. He's minus 170 now. Pat's creeping up. And Nick Bonito, from when we talked about it on the show, I think yesterday, 24 hours ago, Nick Bonito was like plus 1,200 to be Defensive Player of the Year. He's now plus 600. He's cut his odds in half. And tomorrow, when he's named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week, those odds are going to cut even more. So if you want to get in on it, maybe now is the time. Speaking of now being the time, let's talk about, I want to give a shout out to something that you guys need to know about, and it is our events and tailgates that we've got going on here at DNVR. You guys know the next time we have a Broncos tailgate?
The Bengals game?
Chiefs.
No.
But, yeah.
Chiefs. Final game of the
Wow, yeah,
season.
that's right.
maybe playoffs is on the line. Hopefully playoffs isn't on the line. Hopefully this is just a time for Broncos fans to have a big celebration to head into the playoffs. And guys, we might have one more tailgate in the postseason because the Broncos right now aren't the final wild card seed. If they hold on to the 6th or 5th seed, we're going to have more tailgates this postseason if some things happen in the playoffs, and the Broncos could actually be hosting a playoff game this year. And if you want to get in on our tailgates, go to thednvr.com/events, scan the QR code on our screen where we've got Breckenridge Brews, we've got Breckenridge Distillery, we've got Primo Hoagies, we've got everything you could want for
Todd
a
Davis,
tailgate.
No Sean Moreno, Drew Casey.
There we go.
Oh, were you guys going to show up that
Yes.
time? Oh, okay.
Oh.
Was
We're there
this time?
every week.
Oh, I thought
there
it
every
was.
week.
Where was this week?
We're here.
Oh, yeah, exactly. But
We
the
have
tailgates
fans
are
at the
here.
bar too. We can't just leave everybody every time there's a game.
Yeah, exactly. You got Todd, Noshawn, Jarrell, the true legends. So make sure to check us out. And for any of our events, go to thednvr.com/events.
Also, check out Empire today if you need new floors. I mean, who doesn't need new floors? I guess anybody who used Empire today because they don't
Yeah,
wear
that's a
out
good
and they're like, you just can't do any better. They have anything you could be looking for. I always try to think of like what kind of floor I would like, and it probably is just like a wood floor. I said last time I saw a sauna with carpet. I'm out of good floor stories, which is a real shame. Next time I'll come up with some.
Todd, do you have any floor stories?
There we go, Todd.
No, he started getting the carpet. I didn't know where he was going.
Okay.
He was gonna carpet
Okay.
stories.
Yeah, time for some floor stories. Empire's the best. They're super professional. They know what they're doing. All they do is floors. So like, when you go to Home Depot or something, it might be the guy who's better at saying like, oh, this is the wood to build your house with. And so when it comes to floors, not really the expert. Empire's the expert. You can use their virtual floor designer. You can see how your new floors will look in any space. They'll give you a free in-home estimate, and all listeners can receive $350 off when they use the promo code DNVR. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DNVR for details.
And shout out to our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Use that code DNVR365 when you sign up. Todd, during the interview with Brian Baldinger, you tried to dunk on me. When Baldy was talking about Bo's performance, but Baldy said, Bo didn't play well, and you gave me a little tap. It took me like a minute to understand why you were tapping me.
like, what?
Yeah, I was
What
like,
is
"Oh,
he
what, are you done with the interview?" That was your first question. Yeah, Bo didn't play well. That wasn't the conversation yesterday.
What are you talking
The
about?
conversation yesterday was, did Bo play awful?
Oh boy.
He said it wasn't good. And you know what else he said? All three of the throws
He hasn't talked to Sean.
was on him.
He hasn't talked to Sean.
Doesn't matter.
Is Baldy the
It
man
doesn't
or is Baldy the
matter.
man?
It doesn't matter.
Baldy's the man,
All
but
right.
Sean is the man when it comes to the Broncos offense and knowing what is up. So Henry and I agreed on this to put the pod poll as, was Bo, quote, awful yesterday? So we did that for yesterday.
No, we're not getting that.
The results are in.
Yeah, we're not getting
The
that.
results are in. You hear? Let's see what the people voted. Todd, you want to read that for me?
It's 50-50.
It's 50. Oh, it's not 50-50. And
this is all believers. That's what I want you guys to know. This is a poll. This is a poll from all believers.
Wait,
so
let's
if they
pull
were
it up
gonna
again.
go against Bo, that would be outrageous.
okay, but the crazy thing is, so is this show. And the Toyota chat
Yes.
was, but what I found out is the Toyota chat that was hating against this yesterday and saying he was so off, what are you talking about, Zach, was the outspoken minority. The majority was with me. And also, who was it? Was it you, Henry? Was it you here? Was it you, Todd? Who voted yes on this from the
lot of
DNVR
people.
Broncos account? That is just... So take that one away. We got 56.7% of the vote saying no, he wasn't awful. 43.3%.
Now, this the popular vote or the electoral college? Because we got to know because it really matters.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It's too far. I mean, that difference is way too far. So clearly he was not awful.
We're hoping for 3 picks again this week then?
We're what?
We're hoping for 3 picks again?
No.
We just need to run it back here?
Well, if it means a win, yeah, I'd run it back. I'd take 31-13 with 3 picks and 3 touchdowns.
Okay.
That's what you guys don't understand. 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns.
Edward, thank you. He believes. with me there. That might be the
boy.
first positive like backing comment I've had on this show in the past 24 hours.
Yeah,
so
maybe so.
I appreciate you, Edward. Okay, so had to bring that up. Because man, I just felt down in the
And you were sitting on
dumps
that. You didn't even tell
yesterday.
us.
Yeah, of course
Normally,
not.
you always say
Wait,
you hear you had the graphics. You're trying to keep that quiet.
Those
I
guys
had
just don't
to.
know ball. It
And
is what it is.
and how many votes? 2,500 votes.
They don't know ball.
Not quite sure about it. We're even gonna have more by the time this poll ends. So that was fun. Thank you guys for letting me have that. And clearly, Bo wasn't awful. So
The fat brown kid says, we
excuse
should give
me,
you
Henry.
the fat brown kid? Yeah, the fat brown kid says, we should give you a gold medal for your gymnastics.
I felt like that was,
Yeah, no, I was
that was
pointing
not
at the
cool.
TV. I was pointing at the TV.
The brown part is fine.
No. Wow, that was good.
We didn't even find out what that
What'd he
person
say?
said.
No, I
Yeah,
said it,
so
but
it's
it was
great.
under it said give Zach the gold medal for your gymnastics.
Well, I'll take a gold however I
clever
can get
one.
it. Doesn't
Clever
matter
job.
what type of sport I have to play. I'll take it. Okay, guys. I asked Baldy this question, and I want to ask you guys this question. When do the Broncos clinch a playoff spot? Because essentially, if we're going to boil it down to the easiest things, there's two paths for the Broncos to lock up a playoff spot without getting too far in the weeds. One, they just simply win one of their next 3 games. That could happen Thursday. It could happen next week against the Bengals in Cincinnati, or it could happen against the Chiefs in Week 18. And there's a chance that the Chiefs have that 1 seed locked up already, so they're playing their backups. Let's hope it doesn't get there, but it might. If the Broncos win, they don't have to worry about anything else. No one else has to help them out. But there's 3 teams that are still in the hunt, I guess. You have the 6-8 Colts, you have the 6-8 Bengals, and you have the 6-8 Dolphins. If one of those teams wins out and the Broncos lose out, there's a chance that the Broncos don't make the playoffs. But if those teams don't win out and they just lose 1 game each, the Broncos are in, even if they don't win out right now. When will the Broncos clinch?
I think, well, everybody wants to talk about the Chiefs not playing their starters. There's a real world where we don't have to play our starters either.
Yeah.
Like where we have our position locked up, and then
Yep.
we can go in that game and let Zach Wilson go in there and play, or whoever our backup is at quarterback.
That might hurt Jared Stidham's feelings.
I know. My bad, Stiddy. But I'm gonna say by next week. Can I do that? By next week? Do I have to pick a game, or can I say
at what point next week? Broncos play on Saturday.
by Saturday night next
At what-
week?
By
At what time?
Saturday night. At
11:30.
11:30. So we
okay.
might have an overtime game. Okay, I like that. I like that. So you think they win one of the next 2?
For sure.
Okay, I like that. Henry?
Yeah, I mean they should win this week, but yeah, to me,
So is that where you're putting your money? If I said here's $100, when's it happening?
yeah, I'll take Sunday. No, I wouldn't take that. I'd go Thursday.
This Thursday.
Yeah, why not? It's all just a toss-up. That one could go either way.
I'm confident saying Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Pacific time.
Oh, wow.
The Broncos have clinched the playoff spot, and we might. Well, we wouldn't see this, but wouldn't it be fun if Sean said we're not flying home to Denver tonight? We're gonna stay in L.A. and
that would be
enjoy
fun.
this,
Wow.
and then put him up at the Four Seasons
real
for
club
another
dub.
night. Yeah, exactly. That would be the club dub there. So, as long as you really just want it to be one of these next weeks. Obviously, you want it to be against the Chargers, and we'll talk about the implications for this Chargers game because if they beat the Chargers,
Yeah, that's the big one.
I don't even know if the Chargers will be able to overtake them in the standings, and then you're guaranteed not be in the 7th seed, which means you're probably not having to play Buffalo in Buffalo,
Yep.
and you might be lining up to a Pittsburgh Steelers first-round matchup, or maybe even jumping up to playing the Texans. So we'll really get into those tomorrow. But
Okay.
this game is big. Let's dive into that tomorrow because I think there's a lot
Yes.
of options.
Steelers
to talk
game's
about.
a big one. Need a Steelers win.
Yep.
It's the Ravens.
Yep.
They're not beating them twice.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Might disagree with you on that because if we're talking history and streaks, It's on the Steelers side. So let's, but I guess streaks can be broken, just like Justin Herbert's interception was this past week. But let's dive into the Super Chats. And before we do, I want to give a shout out to everyone tuning in to the Toyota chat with us and rocking and rolling with us live. Or even if you're watching late, hit us with a thumbs up. It really helps us, and we really appreciate it as well. First Super Chat coming in from #ShutUpKaren, who says, is it better to get a bad game out of their system? Practice this short week and work on the mistakes that were made.
I would prefer they play a good game. Because if they had played a good game, then we wouldn't be saying like, oh, hopefully that was just a little one-off from Bo. Or like, oh, hopefully the running game gets better. It'd be easier to say like, oh, I hope Bo keeps this going. Or I hope the running game keeps this going. Just, I'm never for a bad game.
Yeah, and hopefully that was this week that just passed.
Yes.
Like, hopefully that was the bad game that the offense got out their system.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was.
It's not just who they, yeah.
I mean, although 24 points scored in a bad game is pretty damn good, I'll say.
Boy.
Especially
Averaging,
the offenses.
15 yards per scoring drive.
It doesn't matter how you score. You score. I've watched too many Broncos teams that have scored 3, 6, 10. How about 16 points? I mean, Broncos Country's all too familiar with that. I'll take 24 in a bad win every single day.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll take a win every time. But also, I would like to feel that it's sustainable.
Yeah, I think this Broncos offense is sustainable.
No.
What?
It was terrible.
I think
Hopefully
this
that part's not
Broncos
sustainable.
offense is sustainable.
We don't want that sustained. We
I think
do not want what
this,
we saw sustained.
I didn't say the Broncos offense on Sunday, only looking at the 3 interceptions, not the 24 points scored and 3 touchdowns by Bo Nix. I'm saying all of the Broncos offense is sustainable right now. Tamur, I'm talking about the whole season. Tamur Tahir says, Broncos outside runs take 10 seconds to develop, and our running backs are too slow to get to the second level. Draft/sign someone with speed.
Yep.
Our running backs aren't slow. That's not the problem.
Jaleel
Wouldn't
isn't
call
slow.
them slow. Yeah.
Yeah.
As a whole, they're not. As a group, they're not fast.
No, they're not blazing, but I wouldn't say that they're slow. They're not like LeGarrette Blunt out there running a rock.
Yeah.
Well, LeGarrette Blunt doesn't play in the NFL right now.
Well,
I'm just saying. I'm just saying when he did.
Kareem Hunt. It's like C.J. Anderson. Love him.
Hey, watch out.
Love him. Love him. But also, like, it's not like he was faster than Javonte.
Yeah, I mean the Broncos running backs they're not built on speed. I don't think that's like an insult. They got 2 huge guys with Javonte and Audric, and 2 big,
Same word.
physical. We'll move on. Ivan says, Ivan and TB007 want some information on Mike Vick going to Sac State. Ivan said, Todd, you heard about Mike Vick to Sac State? And TB007 says, Mike Vick, head coach for Sac State. What's the word, Todd?
I have talked to my guys at Sac State. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks, but I think that's going to be dope if that does happen. Can't give any details yet, but we'll see, man. That would be dope.
Will you be leading the Sac State football show at DNVR?
Heck yeah. $50 million of NIL money. We got to be able to get some of that NIL money if we put together a show.
Is there 50?
That's what they said.
Yeah, that is what they said. Some would question
They might
that.
have to find it like CU did, but
Well, has your phone been ringing?
nope.
No?
Maybe a little bit. Maybe a couple times.
Yeah, I
Maybe
bet.
a couple times.
You just don't answer.
Yeah.
Nate Ace says, really quick, that would be very cool for your alma mater to get Mike Vick. Talk about really getting a lot of exposure then.
Yeah. And then we'll be a FBS team. We'll leave little old Montana in the dust.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
We'll be rocking and rolling.
Nate Ace says, Broncos winning, finals over, Christmas around the corner, and DNVR popping. What a time. Shout out the crew. Shout out to you, Nate. Congratulations on your finals being over. And yeah, what a time. I mean, this is we got Thursday night football this week. We got Christmas next week. Then Saturday, maybe night football for the Broncos. Then New Year's the following week. And within all of that, we've got Avs, Nuggets, and the college football playoffs starting this Friday night. It is crazy. And then final one coming in from our friend Rodney Garcia says, good morning, guys. Keep up the awesome work and go Broncos. Right on, Rodney. Thank you so much for rolling with us today. And it's crazy how quick this week is going. Like tomorrow, we're making our final picks for the games. We're breaking down what we want to happen in the other games. Do we want the Steelers? Do we want the Ravens? Who's going to win there?
Steelers.
Would you rather be matched up against the Steelers? What needs to happen for that to happen? And so we'll be breaking down this Broncos game even more, giving our final predictions, and then telling you what you need to be cheering for this week. And then Thursday night, guys, Broncos, Chargers, where the Broncos could maybe take a commanding lead over the Chargers, potentially. And we got one more from David Freeze, says game time is 2:30 according to David Freeze. So we'll see. David might have the scoop over. He wouldn't know that before anyone else. But maybe we'll see. David Freeze, 2:30 would be interesting. Get that middle game, and then you get to watch the Broncos, and then watch the Buffs at night. So that would probably be ideal for Broncos Country. But for Todd, for Henry, for you here, Zach Stevens, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. for our final picks.
We all silly like the mayor.